Kendra, we asked you to be a part of this conversation because we thought that it's really important to make sure that people know how to negotiate. Negotiating is a huge skill set that everybody does not have.
Yeah.
And you're an attorney and you're a bad attorney. So so I know that you can bring that level of like know-how to this conversation. So what are some things that women should be mindful of as they go into to either ask for a raise or just negotiating a new career opportunity?
Well, it's hard for all of us, but I think as Black women, we work really hard and we dream really big, and it's unfortunate that a lot of times we just don't, like you said, we just don't know how to go about getting what we deserve. I think we are inevitably sort of in any situation, we're going to be devalued. I hate to say that, but in many instances, that's just how it is in corporate setting in the workplace. And so the question you have to ask yourself is, okay, if I can't, be my own advocate and my own biggest cheerleader, then who else is going to do it? I mean, it has to be you, and you have to find that confidence. And there's ways to do that, and I'm happy to kind of help do some of that. I mean, the
Yeah,
first,
no.
yeah,
Yeah, go, no, keep going, girl.
first things first, you have to know your value and you have to be able to articulate it to other people. And I think a lot of times we sort of inherently know that, but then you actually need to sort of sit down and think about, what is it that I bring to the table? What is it that makes me different or special or valuable in this workplace that makes me worthy of, what I'm completely entitled to and deserve to ask for and deserve to get. So I think sometimes sort of a self-reflection exercise where you actually sit down and you take an inventory of, your skills, your strengths, your accomplishments, what you've done at the workplace to benefit the employer, or if you're looking for another job, what you can bring to the table from, your previous experiences, and, what results you've obtained. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what's going to be able to translate to the higher salary, is when you can sort of show that you know your worth and you can also articulate it to other people so that they too can.
So should we like do exercises where we're actually writing down like, yo, these are the things that I know I'm bomb at. I know that I've and should it be measurable outcomes? Because I found that even in when people are writing their resumes, they just do like little tasks, like, oh, I've done this. I answer the phone for 25 different people and I manage their calendars. But what results have you generated?
Results are important, but depending on the kind of work you're doing, that's going to vary. I think you need to have at least, three to five value statements that you have at the ready when you go in to have that talk. And a value statement basically has three parts, right? It has your accomplishments, your skills, and the results. So like you said, you do need to be able to articulate those results. It doesn't have to be anything huge, but
Wait, let's go through that one more time. You said the value statement has three parts.
Right. So your accomplishments.
Accomplishments.
You need to sort of have it action oriented, So, I found a faster way to do something, or I found a more, effective way of handling the issue. So any accomplishment that you can speak to. You also want to talk about your skills, right? So, I have really great organization skills. I know this software inside and out, or, I know how to, use this particular system, and, I'm the only one in the office who knows how to really, execute it, whatever it is, whatever your skill set is that really. And then the third thing would be your result. Yeah. And they do need to be quantifiable. So, nothing fancy, but, if you were able to maybe reduce the time of something, you want to be able to say, oh, so, it normally would take 7 minutes and I brought it down to 3.5 minutes, and, be able to sort of validate that in some way, whatever it is. I'm trying to speak generally because there's so many different
occupations. Absolutely.
And everything. But I mean, those are the basics. So your accomplishments, your skills, and your results.
Now, what I've also heard is that the confidence that it takes to walk into a room and tell your boss, hey, I've been doing this, but I need you to understand that you've added on 15 different things outside of my job requirements, outside of my job description. How do you ask for a raise in those type of situations and environments, especially if you think about the environment that we're in today?
Well, I mean, I think that's where the documentation comes, documentation comes into play. I'm, like you said, I'm a lawyer and I'm always about show me the paperwork. Where is it? Prove it to me. And so if you have the emails, you have the reports, you have the performance reviews, you have the compliments that you got from the clients, anything that's going to actually validate what you have can sort of help you, go in with the confidence of knowing that you're not just sort of, pulling this out of thin air. It's quantifiable and I can show you how,
So should you be prepared and go in with these documented, factual evidence? Like where you can show, like, hey, I'm not just pulling this out of my butt. Like, I've really done this.
I completely would do that. I mean, that's me. I mean, maybe you don't have a folder with all the emails in it, but you can certainly say, I can, here, you can have it in your mind, or you can sort of have a bullet point list in front of you, tick them off, and you can say, and I'm happy to show you all of these, because that you have a folder sitting in your computer that has it all, where you can just shoot it straight out to them. So yeah, I would definitely, if you don't bring it right in with you, you should have a bullet point list that can speak to exactly what you can show, and then say, and I'm happy to, show you all of this. If we want to have a follow-up meeting about that, I'm happy to do that. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you recommend for our young students, or our young entrepreneurs, or young individuals entering into the workforce? Because they're fresh out of college, and especially if you think about right now, the current climate, most people are like, if I'm just happy to get a job, like I ain't got time to be negotiating, because you can tell me, well, we don't need you that bad. We can go get somebody else, right? So how do you position your mindset or train yourself to go into a place, and when you're offered a particular salary, decline it and say, that's nice, but I think that I'm worth this?
Well,
do you do that, or do you just accept whatever comes to you?
Oh, no, by no means, because I'll tell you that, you are competing against other people who are not, right? So there will be non-Black female candidates that come through the door who will not hesitate to come in and tell the hiring how great they are, how much they've accomplished. It really doesn't matter. The confidence, you're right. You have to be able to project that confidence. And I think a part of what's going to get you there is when you have actually taken time to do that assessment, where you actually get comfortable. I know sometimes as women, we sort of have been conditioned in some instances, sort of not to, toot our own horns, or not to be so, braggadocious.
Confident.
Right. I mean, because sometimes we get dinged, right? But there's a way to do it. And there's a way to do it where you're not coming across as, arrogant, or, like you're bragging, but like you're stating facts. This is what I can do. This is where I've been. This is what I know. This is what I bring to the table. And when that you've done your value statement.
Hold on, Kendra, I keep losing you. Your audio keeps clipping a little bit on me.
Sorry, I have a really bad, oh no, I have a horrible signal in my, is that any better?
Well, we can try it. We can see. Go ahead.
So I think once you've sort of done your homework, that sort of helps generate some of that confidence that you need to go in.
Now, what would you say to the young girl who is fresh out of college and gets a job offer, let's say with like a Boeing, right? What do you tell her? Like when that job offer comes in, do you still negotiate because it's Boeing, or do you take whatever they tell you?
And let me tell you why. You always.
Wait, you said yes?
Yes, you always. And I'm sorry, maybe it's because I have texts coming in. I don't know, but you always negotiate, because let me tell you something. The most power in negotiation that you will ever have in a job is when the offer is on the table, because because at that point you know that they want you.
Mm.
Now you have leverage. And so that is when you are most powerful in a negotiation. You know they want you. There's an offer on the table. And now is the time for you to make that ask. And so, yeah, it might be Boeing, but trust and believe that I know non-Black women who have gotten cars. They have negotiated getting all their student loans paid off. They have negotiated, so it might not be in your salary, right? It might be in some other benefit or some kind of signing bonus or some sort of, other perk, extra week of vacation, whatever it is. You think about what's important to you and don't be afraid to ask for it, because that is when you're most powerful and that's when you have the most leverage. So,
girl, you make me want to go back into the job force just so I can negotiate.
so you go in confident, know what you bring to the table, and then you also want to do some research, right? So you want to make sure that what you're asking for is not unheard of. You want to looked at what the average salary is for the position that you're applying for, the median, sort of the low range and the high range. And you always start high because they're going to try to bring you back low. And then meet in the middle. And if they're not willing to give you cash, in terms of your salary, then again, you go back to some of those other perks that you might get. But you should know, particularly when the offer.
So one of the things that we're talking about with Kendra is the importance of making sure that you understand your value. What value add are you coming to the table with? And so a number of people have, even since we've been doing this today, and today, as you all know, is Black Women's Equal Pay Day. And the significance of that means that the amount of money that it would take for a Black woman to make what her white counterparts made at the end of 2019, today would be the day that they would be on an equivalent level. But this is 8 months past what they were making at 2019, and I'm sure that that individual is still working. So how do you take control over your finances? How do you determine ways in which you can say, you know what? I know my worth. I know the value add that I am bringing into this company, to make sure that you are being heard and that you're being paid an amount of money that you are comfortable with. I think that gap, which is currently African American women are paid 62 cents to the dollar of their white counterparts. And a lot of it, I think, is on us. Not all of it, but a lot of it. A lot of us, we see the opportunities, we are offered something, and we take that offer and we walk. We're like, yes, y'all, I got this job. I'm making this amount of money, not realizing that somebody else may be offered to do the exact same job and be paid almost double, almost, not quite, but almost double what it is that you're being paid. Now, when you know that, then you have a little bit more courage, and you have a little bit more power to walk in and be like, no, we're not doing that. And as we've been saying throughout the course of the day, a lot of times it's not necessarily just looking at the financial side of things and saying, well, can you give me an extra $20,000? I'm not going to accept 58 for a job that I want to be paid almost 80 for, right? So, some other options that you can have is to potentially say, hey, well, one of our speakers earlier today said, I would like some professional development. I want you to give me $30,000 towards having a professional business coach or a life coach. I want education credits to go towards me getting regular training and being able to attend conferences. And I want to guarantee that certain conferences you will allow me to go to, that you are not going to deter and say, nope, sorry, we're not going to pay for you to attend that. So when you are at the table, what Kendra is sharing with us is this is your most opportune time to negotiate on your behalf. This is the time that you can say yay or nay. And I personally believe if you come in, you don't negotiate, then they know the type of person that they're working with. They know that they can pile on, and you're going to show up and you're going to do because you're happy to just have a job. You're happy to just have that opportunity. But what if you challenge the status quo and you say, you know what? I know what I'm worth, and we're not going to do that. Like, that's not okay. Like, you're going to have to pay me for everything that I've done in the past. You're going to have to pay me for everything that I have accomplished up to this point. And so now we have Kendra Perkins Norwood back with us. Hey, Kendra.
Hi. Is that better? Is that any better?
It's still clipping a little bit, but we okay.
I can walk a little bit with it. I don't know. It's anything. Okay. This is the best to do. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. It's beautiful out there. So I thank you for bringing us a little bit of nature.
All right. So,
Kendra, what would you say? And this will be our last question because I told you it was going to be 15 minutes. We're going to be in and out. What would you say are the things that we need to be mindful of? We talked about confidence. We talked about negotiating. But when it comes to making sure that we identify our worth, how do we identify our value add and what we are worth and negotiating on behalf of what we want to accomplish?
Well, something that came to mind. Can you hear me okay? Is that
I can hear you.
So something that came to mind as I was like walking down here is that, one of the things that we really need to be careful about is when they ask about your previous salary history. You need to be able to deflect that because what you've made in the times past doesn't have anything to do with what you're going to pay me for this job, right? So that's one tip. Seriously, I mean, why is it that this is a different job? It has different responsibilities, and because that's one way that we end up sort of getting
trapped.
kind of trapped because they'll only offer you like a certain percentage higher than what you were making before, but another person who's doing the exact same job. Just because they may have been getting paid more someplace else or, whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter. You're still doing the same work and, you still deserve to be paid in the same fashion. So I would say, don't let them very early on ask you like what your salary history is, what your salary expectations are. You should be able to deflect that and say, well, I really want to learn more about the position first. And then, I've studied what the market averages are. And, I really think we should just kind of talk about baseline based on the research that I found. Do not let them lock you in just based on what you've previously been making, because I mean that's the whole point of coming after this opportunity is to advance. And if you start low or lower than you should, then you're gonna always be behind. It's gonna just take so much more for you to try to make up for that lost time or those lost wages. So I would say, that would be my parting advice. Know your value, have a strategy, do your research, and don't get locked into what you've been paid before, and use your leverage that you have, whatever it may be.
And so one of the things that I was talking about before you came back in was that I think that it also sets a precedent. If you aren't willing to negotiate when you have that time, I feel like it almost sets this idea in the organization's mindset of the type of worker that you are.
Well, that's possible. And I'm sorry, I see I only have one bar. That's possible. But again, it's all
Kendra,
about.
I'm going to get you.
I'm sorry. That's possible. But, you always need to be cognizant of how you present yourself and how you project. Because, people, they make judgments about you. They make value judgments about you, but you need to always make sure that you're your biggest advocate and that you're projecting yourself in a way and that you are able to articulate your value that you can't be denied. So.
Okay. So last thing, Kendra, talk to us about your recent appointment. Yes. You're not getting out of this without talking about, yeah. I'm going to need you not to shrug your shoulders like, what? Like, what you talking about? Like, we're not talking about me right now, but we are.
The
government.
Oh yeah. So I'm a government contracts lawyer, and so I'm a member of the National Bar Association, which is the predominantly African American bar association of in the country. And so there's sections depending on what kind of law you practice, and so I started a section of government procurement law or government contracts law because there was not one in the National Bar, and I felt like that was a very lucrative and very opportunity-rich environment that a lot of Black attorneys needed to know about. And so we got the section started, myself and other people who work in that field, and said, hey, why aren't we represented in the NBA? And, you know, we sort of worked for about a year and a half to get it started. And then this past year, we've just kind of just been trying to get it set up. But then we had our elections, I guess, a couple weeks ago during the convention. And so I was formally elected as the chair of that section that I started. So.
And so I want to commend you for that, because once again, it's about when you don't necessarily see a space for you to thrive, or you see a space that is necessary and a huge industry, then you create it.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
so I think that, you know, what you did is absolutely phenomenal, which is why I made you explain it, because I could not have done it because I had messed it up. But I think that I definitely want to commend you on that, because it not only shows that you are willing to show up and do the work that you've been called to do, but to also step outside of what any barriers that may exist, or if you see something that does not exist, that you know it needs to be, okay, a committee, an industry, you know, something where we can show and be able to show support of one another who are working in this industry. So I just applaud you. And I think that like what you did is absolutely phenomenal, and that you deserve like a huge like recognition outside of just being the chair. So on this platform, we celebrate you, and we just think that you are an amazing individual, and we thank you for spending your time with us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed it. I'm not a big Instagram person, but I check it maybe like once a week. So I think what is my handle up there? Keep It Real Kendra. If you want to, like, I don't even know what it's called, like inbox me, DM me, I don't know, whatever it is. I'll respond. I'll respond to you.
In a week, y'all. She gonna respond in a week. Don't get
yeah. I'll get back to you. So thank you for inviting me. This was great. So, and
Absolutely.
I'm happy to, you know, follow up with anybody who has any other questions or wants to talk through anything. So.
And Kendra's primarily focuses on government contracting law. That's her specialty. So if you're into the government contracting sector, if you need assistance in that area, then Kendra is the person to look out for. Thank you again, Kendra.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. You have a good evening.
Absolutely. And we will be back at 7 o'clock with Tressa Azarel. So we look forward to seeing everybody back here at 7 p.m. Bye.